Will eating an Oreo today make you break out tomorrow? The answer is maybe or maybe not, my dear one. Most likely maybe not. Hi there, my name is Therese, and I've made it my life's work to get you clear skin without harsh chemicals, pills, and or creams because I healed my acne naturally via my natural acne clearing program, the Clear Code. If you want to learn more about how to apply to that program and see if it would be a good fit for you, apply to the link below, and make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to be notified when I post a new video. I want to address a super common question I get often. I get asked this probably daily from my clients and people wanting to learn how to heal their acne naturally, and the question is, if I eat this cookie, will I break out tomorrow? And this question really centers around food restriction, avoiding certain foods, and also blood sugar management. And I have a lot of thoughts on this question. I have a very unique stance on this question for 4 specific reasons. Number 1, I have a crazy sweet tooth. Number 2 is that I have a lot of family members with type 2 diabetes, so I am naturally going to be genetically predisposed to this. Womp womp. Number 3 is that blood sugar management as a result is a huge root trigger of mine for acne. And number 4 is that life sucks without donuts and I think you should eat one. So let's discuss blood sugar management and why I think you should eat that cookie. That isn't what you thought I was gonna say, is it? But I think you should eat the cookie. Here's why. We always have to keep in mind when we're talking about acne, when we're talking about things that make us break out, we always have to keep in mind the kind of 4 conditions that you need at your pore to break out, okay? You need too many skin cells, too much oil, your skin cells aren't sloughing off the way they should, and then P. acnes gets into the pore and you have a breakout that forms. It becomes an infection at the pore level, okay? Keep these in mind, take a little screenshot, they're important. Blood sugar management, AKA a higher glycemic diet, AKA Oreos, cookies, impacts your acne because of that very first condition at the pore, too many skin cells. Let's go over why. Blood sugar management impacts insulin levels, which impacts the skin cells at the pore. Now, before we go deep into this, and I'm gonna keep bringing it back to the Oreos, okay? And that is, I need you to know that blood sugar management is not something that gets fixed overnight. Okay, it's not something that gets fixed in 3 days or even 7 days, which is why this question of like, did that Oreo make me break out yesterday? The answer is 99% of the time, no. But 1% of the time, it depends, and it depends on a bunch of different factors. It depends on how long your blood sugar has been unbalanced for, how genetically predisposed to blood sugar management issues are you, how much sugar you're consuming over the past few days, weeks, months, years even. Sometimes a ton of sugar and not one cookie. Never one cookie. But a ton of sugar over a period of a few days on an already stressed body system can be like the straw that breaks the camel's back. So let's go over why, because once you understand why, you'll be able to regulate your blood sugar in a really healthy way so that number 1, you won't see an impact from sugar. But number 2, you'll understand why the answer to this question is no. And you should eat the cookie. There are 2 main ways that a higher glycemic diet impacts your acne, okay? The first way is that it contributes to that first condition at the pore that creates too many skin cells. And the second way it impacts your acne is really as it relates to insulin, okay? Insulin is at the core of why a higher glycemic diet contributes to acne. So what is insulin? Insulin is a hormone that causes all of your body tissues in your body to absorb glucose, okay? It regulates your blood sugar, it keeps it within normal levels, it helps store extra fuel as fat. Insulin, when it's perfect, is like really great, okay? It's really what we want. And so to understand insulin better, we're gonna take the example of eating a delightful piece of chocolate cake, okay? And we're gonna go through how that happens in your body and then how it could potentially impact your skin. Here's what happens when you eat a big bite of chocolate cake, okay? As this semi-digested piece of cake, really sugar, enters your tongue, it's converted into glucose, which is one of your most basic energy sources, and it's super important, so make a mental note. And the influx of glucose in your body triggers your pancreas to release insulin into your bloodstream. Your body doesn't want your blood sugar levels to go too high. Insulin causes cells in your liver, muscle, fat, tissue to take up, so to use the glucose. They convert it to glycogen to be stored later, and it ultimately works to monitor blood sugar levels to keep them in check. Now, as you can tell, this is a normal process. This happens often. It's a good, healthy thing. It's the abuse of this process that gets us in trouble on a bunch of different levels. Here's how it impacts your skin. When you have a longer period of time of higher blood glucose levels, your body is naturally secreting more insulin, which means you're also increasing the amount of insulin growth factor 1 in your body, okay? Insulin and insulin growth factor 1 are responsible for increased follicular, near the hair follicle, cell growth. And that takes us back to that first condition. Remember, too many skin cells at your pore. So let's talk a little bit about insulin growth factor 1. Again, I do not want you to become a biologist to understand this stuff, but when you really get it, just understand like the key principles, everything is so much easier and different, okay? Insulin growth factor 1 is a growth hormone. It has a lot of the same properties as insulin. It's a powerful mitogen for all of your body's systems and tissues. And a mitogen is a chemical substance that ultimately triggers mitosis, or the division of cells. It's produced by your liver in your endocrine system, and ultimately, an excess of insulin growth factor 1 encourages skin cell growth. So, insulin growth factor 1 can stimulate cell growth at the pore. Ergo, let's bring it full circle. Let's bring it home for the win, y'all, okay? High blood sugar levels, right, are going to equal higher levels of insulin. Higher levels of insulin is going to automatically impact the amount of insulin growth factor 1, which is going to automatically impact and create the condition of too many skin cells at your pore, which is ultimately the very first condition you need in place to break out. Ergo, that's it, really. Ergo, that's it. Too much sugar equals too much insulin growth factor 1, too many skin cells at the pore, which leads to acne. Here's the thing, I'm gonna keep bringing it back to Oreos, largely because I love Oreos, but I think a lot of people like Oreos. And the reason I talk about Oreos is because they're like one cookie, they're one treat, they're one thing, right? They're not a consistently high glycemic diet. They're not a lifestyle of sugar. And that's why when people ask me, did this cookie break me out yesterday? Or if I eat a cookie tonight, will I break out? The answer really is it depends, because elevated levels of blood glucose chronically over time lead to higher levels of insulin growth factor 1, more skin cells at the pore. It's not like when you eat a cookie, suddenly you have extreme amounts of insulin growth factor 1 running around your system. Normally, I'm speaking very broadly about all these things. Obviously, like health conditions and all those other things aren't included in these discussions, let's be clear. But this kind of constant regulation in your body by insulin, by your pancreas, by insulin of blood sugar management is healthy. It's what we want. It's what happens over time when we're consuming a really high glycemic diet habitually, chronically for months, days, weeks, months, years, that then we get into issues. And what happens too is when you have elevated levels of insulin over time in your body, your cells become insulin resistant, so they don't respond as well, so your body has to pump out more. So then you have even more IGF-1, even more skin cells, even more acne. So it becomes this like kind of, you know what, I'm rolling stone that's gathering a lot of things. What am I trying to say? What's the analogy I'm trying to make? I don't know, but you know what I mean? It snowballs. That's the analogy. So, Oreos. When a client comes to me and they say, oh, hey, I just had a cookie yesterday, is that gonna break me out? And they've been on the Clear Code, my acne clearing program, for a long time. No, absolutely not. It's not gonna impact you at all. But if a client comes to me on the first day of the program and they've been consuming a really high glycemic for months and they ask about the cookie, I say, listen, the cookie is not the issue. The issue is the 3 months prior. The die is kind of already cast when it comes to your blood sugar. It really matters what you're doing 90% of the time, not 10% of the time. This is why I talk about this often. If you follow me or you know anything about me, you know I'm really into donuts. I'm really into donuts, okay? And I'm really into them once a week because anything more than that makes my stomach hurt because I just don't eat a high glycemic diet anymore. But what happens is because I consume generally 90% of the time a lower glycemic diet, when I have a donut, my blood sugar levels probably skyrocket right between you and me. And then insulin's released. And my cells are super sensitive to insulin because there's not too much of it running around habitually. And then my blood glucose levels drop and we are good fam, right? But when you're dealing with these chronic levels of high blood glucose, if I'm eating a donut every day, plus a bunch of other things, we're gonna talk about that in a second, then you get into tricky territory when it comes to habitually high glucose levels, high insulin levels, IGF-1, skin cells at the pore. So really the question becomes not the cookie that you ate yesterday or what you're gonna eat at your bridal shower tomorrow. It's what have you been eating primarily over the past 30, 60, 90 days. So let's do a little pop quiz because they're fun, and I want us to talk about, or rather I want you to let me know how many of the following things I'm about to mention have high glycemic, have high fructose corn syrup in them and or have a ton of sugar. I'm gonna list out a bunch of stuff and I want you to just comment below this video, how many of these do you think have a lot of sugar in them? A bagel with cream cheese, orange juice and coffee for breakfast, a Pop-Tart mid-morning for a snack, hamburger, french fries, ketchup, a Coke for lunch, chocolate chip cookies, more Coke for a snack, pepperoni pizza and pasta with red sauce for dinner. How many of those do you think have a lot of sugar in them? The answer, my friend, is all of them. Even ketchup. Ketchup is like a higher glycemic food. There's a ton of sugar in ketchup. Now here's the thing, I love a condiment, I really do. So I am not telling you to avoid ketchup. I am saying that when you're consuming a diet like this, like I just mentioned, which is like pretty common, right? It's definitely what I ate before I healed my skin because it's usually delicious, even though now if I were to eat that way, it would hurt my stomach. But these things over time, they become a snowball effect and then you get into challenges. And let's say you're consuming a diet like this over time, not just for a day or two or even on a vacation, but years of your life. It has far-reaching snowball-ish like consequences that deeply impact your skin. So, is the Oreo that you ate yesterday making you break out today? No. It's what you've been doing for the past 3 months that is probably contributing to your acne today, and the Oreo, it's not the Oreo. I don't think it's ever the Oreo, to be honest. So have the cookie today because the Oreos are delicious, but we have to examine other aspects of your diet, other aspects of your lifestyle, other aspects of kind of how you're eating from a glycemic perspective and how that's impacting your blood sugar on the regular to really start to heal your acne naturally from a blood sugar perspective. And don't worry about the cookie because it's not the cookie. It's not the cookie. With my clients, I have kind of an 80-20, 90-10 rule. And honestly, that rule exists, that guideline exists because it's gonna make you feel the best and it's gonna keep your skin the clearest. So what can you do now? I have 5,000 things that you can do, but we're gonna keep it simple today because I will probably overwhelm you with too much information. I'm gonna share 4 action steps you can take that will help you manage your blood sugar a little bit better. The first action step you can take is to replace the majority of artificial sugars with fruit. Now I know, you're like, that is boring. Promise you over time you will crave pineapple and blueberries and mangoes way more than you'll ever crave something like Skittles or Starburst, and that comes from an addict. A Skittles addict. No, Starburst mini reds. Okay, so that's the first action step. It's just gonna naturally lower your glycemic, like your kind of the blood sugar levels naturally without having like candy and cakes and even like things like instead of having a banana muffin in the afternoon or a blueberry muffin in the afternoon, which is usually just processed and really high glycemic, grab a bunch of pineapple and some almonds. You're gonna feel better. You're gonna be able to concentrate more. You're not gonna have a sugar crash and your blood sugar levels won't skyrocket even remotely to what they would if you grab something like a cookie or just like a simple white sugar. Action step number 2 is a simple one, and it's to walk for about 15-20 minutes after you eat lunch and or dinner and or breakfast, I guess. What happens is this allows your body to kind of immediately use the glucose that you've grabbed, and walking about 15 to 20 minutes after every meal has been shown to really support type 2 diabetics when it comes to their blood sugar management levels. I love this action step. It also helps you prevent that crash. So you know, like when you go out to dinner with friends or even lunch with friends and someone has like a big pasta dish versus, or even like a cheeseburger like I mentioned, versus like a salad, notice how you feel post both of those meals. You can even try it for yourself and just kind of weigh in with yourself in terms of how you feel energy wise. If you feel lethargic, you're most likely dealing with a sugar crash. And or if you're feeling energized, that's a really positive thing from just an overall blood sugar management perspective. But if and when I have any type of like simple carbs at dinner, so pasta, really pasta. I don't really eat pasta because I hate how I feel after, but let's say I do have it because it can be delicious. I'll try to go on like a longer-ish walk after dinner. Like let's say you're out with friends and you're gonna go somewhere versus take an Uber and it's like a short ride versus a short walk, just walk. That'll help you use the glucose quickly and it'll help you keep your blood sugar levels a little bit more regulated. The third action step that I know you might not do if you're here is you can't skip breakfast, my love. When you skip breakfast and then you go all morning and you don't eat anything and you have a ton of coffee and then you have pizza for lunch like 6 hours after waking up, you've basically you put your body into a fasting state. And then if you have a higher glycemic food that doesn't have a lot of healthy fats or proteins in it, you just spike your blood sugar, then your body freaks out, it releases a ton of insulin. Tell me if this sounds familiar. Then about an hour and a half later, you're starving. Does that sound familiar? You gotta grab something else. It sets off this like really miserable chain reaction just from so many different perspectives, and also blood sugar. So my biggest recommendation is to have a high protein, high fat morning breakfast. So for example, this takes 7 minutes. I hate cooking. Don't tell anybody. So when I approach cooking, it's always from like a how fast can I get this done type perspective. But so if and when, like for example, a great breakfast would be 2 eggs scrambled with some avocado, goat cheese. It's not a type of dairy that's gonna bother your skin, and then some blueberries and pineapple on the side. Done. You're gonna feel full, satiated, you're gonna feel energetic, and you're not gonna crash the way you would if you just had a bagel with cream cheese and orange juice. I promise you. The fourth action step you can take is to add in one of my favorite herbs because it's so easy to add in, and that's cinnamon. Every morning I have coffee because I'm obsessed. It's just who I am. And every time I grab coffee, I add a little cinnamon because it's been shown to regulate blood sugar levels in type 2 diabetics. It's a really nice herb to add in. Again, it's like the simplest, easiest habit you can begin to implement that will positively support blood sugar management. All of that being said, are you kind of at the end of your rope when it comes to Googling your way to clear skin? Are you done with going to the dermatologist and just kind of being shoved a prescription or a hormone and said, hey, I hope you figure this out? If you really want to understand your root acne triggers and really want to get control of your skin, if you want a plan to heal your acne naturally, I would definitely apply to my acne clearing program via the link below. We definitely don't invite every potential client into the program because I really want to make sure it's the right fit for you. So we're an invite-only program, and you can grab a link to apply. We'll hop on the phone, you and I will chat back and forth, and I'll see if it's a good fit because I really only want to invite you into the program if it's going to change your life. And I would love to see if we could help you heal your acne naturally. Also, we have a private Facebook group where others are struggling with skin challenges just like you. So if you're interested in joining us there, click the link below to apply to that as well, and we will accept you in and welcome you there. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe to my channel, hit the bell to be notified, and make sure you share it with your friends. If you know someone who's been dealing with acne challenges and you know that they know that there are deeper root issues happening from like a gut health, blood sugar management, hormonal balancing perspective, and they've been really seeking out an alternative perspective from the birth control pill, Accutane, spironolactone, please send them this video. I would love to help them, and I would love to see if I could support them on their journey. Okay, bye.